Hey, yo, it's me, Pops Van Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. Uh-huh. So come get some. CromCon. CromCon.
The sun peeks over the horizon. Your excitement builds. The animals in the field start to stir. The forest comes alive with sounds. The sunlight glimmers off the lake, and the mountains start to shed their morning fog. So load up your favorite ammo, grab a few buddies, and head out to make some memories. And tell the rest of the world that you've gone hunting. Gone Hunting is a 1 to 4 player game of family fun where you build a unique hunting ground, scout different animals, buy weapons and gear, and roll dice to hunt. Complete objectives and try not to miss. So let's load up the truck and back Gone Hunting today. See you in the field.
Welcome everyone to Comic Pulp here on the Madness Network, and today we will be talking with Stephen Prince and Christie Shinn. Now they're running a little late today, but that's all right. What's awesome about this is we're going to be delving into Kickstarters, how they work, and really helping promote a really cool comic called Monster Matador, and exploring the different tropes that Stephen likes to use.
Do you have the mic on your neck on too? Because it's like something's rubbing on your shirt. It sounds like you got.
Okay, let me hold on. I think I know what it is. Hold on.
All right. And everybody, Stephen ain't late. Stephen was on time. and
turn the water glow off.
There you go. And Stephen's not late. Stephen's on time. He's here. You can bring him in.
Okay.
You can add him to the stream. Just like put your cursor on it. Boom. Bring him in.
Okay.
And then once you do that, I'll leave again.
Okay. So just put it on private chat.
No. Go down below where you see his picture. See him down below the screen? He's waving at you.
No, I don't.
Did you turn off you still got admin, right?
No, I don't.
Oh, you turned it off? Okay. I'll have to bring him in then. Hi, Stephen. Hi.
Hey, man.
Sorry about that. I'm new to this stuff, man.
I got
That's
complete
all right.
control. All right. I got complete control. We're all good. Okay.
That's all right.
I'll be sharing everything. You guys
the low rider.
Have a good show. Good to see you, Stephen.
Good to see you too, man.
Monster Matador.
All right. Nice to meet you finally, Stephen. This is kind of cool.
Nice to meet you. I didn't know Christie was gracing us with her presence.
Well, she's been helping me out on this show for since it started, because I'm still
cool.
Trying to figure it all out.
Yeah.
And as I learn, she's like, okay, we need to fix this on your mic or whatever. Just like now, I had to turn the air conditioner off because it was blowing so hard it was drowning out my mic. So.
Oh wow. Okay.
So how did you get your team together, man, for your book? Because the art looks freaking amazing, by the way.
Yeah, it's funny. So the artist, the main artist is Fabio Alves, and so before this version of Monster Matador, I actually wrote and drew 12 issues of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm nowhere near the artist Fabio is. And what happened was I only meant to do a couple just to kind of like figure out the story and everything, and then I had kids and everything went crazy. So I just kept doing it, but the plan was always to kind of relaunch it with a good artist. And my style is probably a little more cartoony, and I had an artist in mind who had done some covers for me, and he, by the time I was ready to do the book with the scripts, he started working on his own creator-owned stuff, so he couldn't do it. Then I found another artist on a website called Upwork, where you could basically hire artists. There are some comic artists on there. I found the guy with a really cool style, and it didn't work out for a number of reasons. And I was kind of I was kind of at a loss of where to go. So I was telling my friend Rylan Grant, who's a writer. He's written a book called Banjax, which Fabio also drew. And Fabio was just coming off that book and looking for work. And I being the idiot that I am, I'm like, Fabio's not really, I mean, he's great, but it's not really the artistic style that I have in mind for the book, you know?
Yeah.
And then after a few days, we had a signing event, and I was talking to Ryland, and I'm like, this is stupid. How could I pass up, you know, someone like this, someone this good? It's like, wait,
That's
you know what
funny.
I mean? Like, that's dumb, right? So
Dude, I've made the same mistakes in the past.
yeah,
Trust me.
yeah. It was one of those things where I'm like, wait a minute, someone's basically handing me, you know, a silver platter, and I'm saying, no, I'd rather take the aluminum or whatever. And that's how Fabio, we started talking about it. And what's interesting is I didn't change the script at all to kind of to kind of fit his style. So it actually worked out, because it kind of gave the book this quirky kind of little tone, because stuff that was written as being like over the top funny, he plays it so straight that it brings out a different kind of humor to it, you know.
Right.
In Tango of the Matadors, which is our first book, and I'll kind of show you, because I actually happen to have the book right here. There's a gang. They're kind of in a post-apocalyptic future, and there's a gang called the Vola Gang in Guatemala that are as the Matador and his allies are going to kind of like the monster's lair. These guys kind of stop them, and they're like, you know, the typical kind of bad guys, bikers and whatever. And I had originally had them kind of being a little over the top with like a cartoon. Vola is a fly, a cartoon fly on their jackets, really kind of over the top. And Fabio wound up, you can't really see it too much here, but it's just a silhouette of a fly. You know what I mean? It's so serious. But then you see, you know, but you see these guys, and they're just kind of like, I don't know, they're kind of goofy. I mean, he drew, I don't know if you could see, he drew this guy with kind of like a massive gap in his teeth, you know? So it just kind of like, it in a way, it made it even funnier.
Right.
So it just worked out. It just worked out really well. And he's been having a lot of fun drawing the book, and it's been great working with him. He'll kind of add some stuff. I didn't realize until the third issue that he didn't speak English.
Oh, really?
So yeah, so he would kind of like make changes to the script, or he would do something, and I'd be like, where's this coming from? Like, this is not like, and it wound up being the translation program. But sometimes there were actually like happy accidents where he didn't explain something, so he drew what he thought he was reading, which wound up being, you know, it worked. So it's been interesting. I've had to kind of like simplify my writing style so that it translates correctly. Yeah.
Gotcha. And I've had similar, because most of my comic books I usually work in Italy or France.
Okay.
And so when they give me an idea what they want,
right.
The translation programs would be horrible. Like
yeah.
So I get it. it. That's funny.
Yeah,
so,
it's funny. Yeah. Because go ahead. Sorry.
So how did you guys work within that? Like, how did you simplify your writing style to accommodate that?
Oh, well, usually when I'm writing a script, I'll write it like I'm talking to you, you know. But sometimes you use kind of like, I don't know what you call them, colloquialisms or slang, or just like shorthand.
Right.
And that's where it gets kind of tricky.
Okay.
So that's where things would get translated. Whenever there's like a double meaning or something, like, you know, it's like you're translating like, you know, an old proverb, you'll see all those in like the original language, it sounds really, and then, you know, when you translate it to English, it's like, you know, the goat goes for a walk in the morning and eats bread, and you're just like, okay, you know. but in the original language, it has like a deeper meaning, you know, for whatever reason. But so it was kind of stuff like that.
I traveling the world and working in comics, I even in English language too, because when I was in Australia, when I was serving in the army, I was like, hey, do you guys know where the auto parts store is at? they're all looking at me like, what is an auto parts store? Okay, if
Right.
you have an issue with your car, where do you go to buy parts to fix your car? And they're like, oh, the repair parts store. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, so you guys call it a repair parts store. And then when I get there, it says Napa Auto Parts on the door, but no one calls it that. And I just thought
Yeah.
that was the weirdest thing. I'm like,
Yeah.
what is that?
I mean, it's the same thing here. I mean, I moved when I was a kid. I moved from New York to Chicago, and people would be like, "Oh, you know, do you have any? You know, you have tennis shoes or whatever?" I'm like, "No, I have sneakers." You know, because there, or you know, they call soda pop. So it'd be like, "Do you want a pop?" It'd be like, "No, I want a soda." You know, so it's things like that. And then when you run it through a translation where you're not even getting into, you know, someone who doesn't speak English. So it was kind of funny because I got there was one page I remember the layouts were just they were so off, and I'm like, maybe we should talk because and he's like, dude, I don't speak English. I was like, oh, I don't speak Portuguese. So, all right, we're gonna have to figure this out. But sometimes you'll see we'll go on Messenger or something like back and forth for like you know pages just to try to like
Make it work.
get a simple point across, you know. Especially if it's a complex scene with a lot of moving parts, that's where it gets kind of difficult. Usually what I'll do is I'll lay out the page myself and I'll send it to him.
Oh, so your layout. Hey, Inkslayer, nice to meet you, by the way. So are you using like because I know a lot of writers to do that when they're working outside the US, they use Comics Life 3 to lay it out and break it down. Are you using that or are you using the other programs?
Oh no, I do it. I mean, when I'm writing, I have a sense of what it is. I don't with him. I kind of give him. I give him a lot of freedom with layouts and things like that. At this point, especially, we've worked together long enough that I trust him. That I know I don't have to be like, you know, this panel has to be 5 pages. This page has to be 5 panels. If he can do it in 4, that's fine. What I always tell him is that I just need the information that's on the page to be on the page. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Like you can't cut anything out. If you can combine something, that's great. If you need an extra panel, that's fine too. The only time I actually physically do layouts is when there's a scene that's complex that it's just not translating correctly because there's a lot of moving parts in it.
Right.
So what I'll do is I'll just like sketch it out. I'll send it to him, and then he'll use that as his guide. And you know, sometimes he'll do it exactly how I did it. Sometimes he'll interpret it his own way. But that's how we get around it.
Yeah, usually ash canning I have found is a lot easier when you don't speak the language. Like, let me break it down real quick, and you just put the characters there, and then they because art speaks volumes.
Yeah. What program was it that you were using? That's kind of interesting. I'd never heard of it.
Comics 3, Comics Life 3. So what they have like So what they do is I use it mostly for lettering with my kids' books because it's an easy lettering program. If you have an iPad, not a Samsung, but an iPad, it works best because the only thing I don't like about that particular program when you're lettering stuff is the Apple products work better with it than the Samsung because in Apple it has way more tools than the Samsungs and the Windows, which is so that's why I always tell people if you want to use it, you have to get like a MacBook or an iPad because
I'm all Apple. So
there you go. It's got some cool stuff, man. Like especially if they give you the PNG file, it allows you to layer it, and then it allows you to lay out like when you're formatting for a PDF. It has the guidelines. If you have like a MacBook, you can adjust your guidelines where it's going to cut off. So you can adjust it before you send it to the printer. It's got a lot of cool stuff. It originally was the first iteration was made for kids to screw around with photos to make it like a comic book with their friends or whatever. But then by version 3, they've got layouts to where you can literally lay out your it does all your grids for you, if you want to be lazy, and just draw inside the panels and then put your stuff. And what's cool in the Mac stuff is this is how super easy it is for lettering. It has an AI built system to where if you build the comic book inside the program, and you wrote your script inside the program, it will letter it for you, and you just adjust it inside the actual thing. That's insane.
Really cool.
It's really insane.
That I'm gonna have to check out. That's really cool.
Yeah. But you have to follow and it's 100% backed by Dark Horse, because Dark Horse uses it. So they even have a for a sample script, they use a Dark Horse sample script inside it.
Oh wow.
Which is nuts. So yeah, it's pretty intense. There's a lot of new cool stuff. That's the reason why I was asking you. Some of the pages that you were using, I was like, wow, that looks a lot like some of the stuff for the paneling that they tell you to use in that program, because it catches the eye so well. You know what I mean? That's what I was asking.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, he's got a really good sense of design.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, yeah.
I loved your guys' opening pages, by the way. You guys were the credit, because each one was differently cinematic. How did you come up with that idea for each issue to have its own cinematic page for the credits?
That's a good question. I don't know. For the first one, so for Tango of the Matadors #1, I'll describe it for those who are listening. Essentially, the opening scene starts with a close-up of the Matador, his face, and then it kind of pulls back to a guy riding a horse, and then we pull back and we see the Matadors kind of being held by these kind of insect legs. And then the page turn is a big double splash, and you've got the Matador. He's being flown over these ruins in Guatemala, and he's captured by the Volagante, which is the kaiju in the story. And she has thousands of like little kaiju children, and he's got his hands tied behind his back with this kind of like lacquer or whatever they call it, the spit that comes out of the kaiju's mouth. And at the bottom of the panel, there's the guy on the horse again. And then the page turn, the Matador calls out to the guy on the horse. The guy on the horse throws the Matador's sword to him, and the Matador takes the sword, stabs the kaiju. He's released, falls to the ground, and the fight starts. That one specifically, my thinking behind that was I kind of wanted to drop the reader into the story and kind of hit the ground running. So it's kind of like, in a way, you're like the Matador being sort of carried in and dropped into the story. So that was sort of my thinking behind that. I tend to like to start my stories in media res, in on the action. I just think it's more exciting. I like to hit the ground running. It's kind of fun, I guess. I just think it's more exciting, especially with Kickstarter when you're previewing those first 3 pages, 4 pages, whatever it is, right? That's what you've got to hook the reader with. So if it's like, 4 pages of people talking before you get to the action, you're not really going to hook anyone into it, right?
Right.
And ultimately, this is a, it's a kaiju book. It's a Matador fighting monsters. That's what you want to see in it, So many monster books I read, it's like, dude, where's the freaking monster, right? I want to see, so you got to give people what they want. But yeah, it's also, again, it has to do with the artist, especially now that, Fabio have done more and I've done more books together. He has such a cinematic style that it's kind of a waste not to take advantage of it. You know what I mean? Like, and he's able to pull off in the second issue. This is the one I think you're talking about. One of the ones you're talking about, but
that's the one I'm talking about.
There's this Yeah, there's this giant splash, right? Of
it was just such a beautiful page, man.
Yeah, you get it's basically the reflection of what one of the monsters, one of the kaiju are seeing. Everyone's attacking, and then we get into the action right there. Yeah, it was there are very few artists that could pull something off that well, I think. And I mean he did that brilliantly, but it's also, again, it's kind of like he's able to do like these crazy splash pages like that and crazy like drawings like that. So it's really just taking advantage of it. And speaking about, we talked about translation. So this guy here. Oh, not that one. This guy here is actually me.
Oh, okay.
This is one of the pages we had, one of the sequences we had some trouble with. I don't know why. It just wasn't. He couldn't I guess the translation wasn't clear on like how the guy should be holding the gun and what should be happening here.
Mm-hmm.
And the layouts weren't coming through. So basically I just took a picture of myself doing it, and he just and he used that, so that's why it looks like me.
That's brilliant though, man.
So,
that just shows you a creative way for a solution to be made. Because a lot of people, when they get into comic books, they don't understand how hard it is to work in this business when just creating the book itself. As fun as it is, sometimes you hit up those hiccups. That's a brilliant way of doing it. I'm gonna steal that idea now. Because I work with a guy in the Philippines, and sometimes he doesn't understand. So now I'm gonna steal that idea. That gives you more.
You have to find different ways, because and sometimes it's just much easier to, especially something as complex as that. It's a lot easier to take a picture than to do a crappy sketch. But also, here's another one just to show you how the tone changes with his style. This woman, let's see. This woman here was originally kind of like, she's older. She's like in her 70s. And I originally kind of had her as this like old, like tiny little granny lady. And he made her this like badass, mid 70s, like warrior. So we kind of like had fun with like her background, and that she fought in like, revolutions and things like that. And in this scene, basically,
that's gonna be her when she's 70. That's gonna be Christie when she's 70, kicking everybody's ass.
Yeah.
I thought old Asian ladies had a fucking cane. Like they had an iron top cane that just fucking hit people indiscriminately. That pissed them off.
That's funny. But she babysits all the kids in town, and because flies like poop, in order to draw the flies away to get them so they're able to retreat and regroup, she brings out just this huge bucket of poop. And it's just like, and the scene is played so straight that it becomes just so over the top and funny, because you're just like, what the,
That's what I loved about the book, man, because it reminded me of like those old school grindhouse films that like it knows where it's at, and it expects you to know, you know what I mean? And the fact that you allowed the world to be a backdrop versus the story, like focused on the character. And I was so excited when I was reading it, because like a lot of people, when they start out in the comics, they expedition down like all over the first 3 pages, and I'm like, come on, dude, everyone knows how a zombie apocalypse goes, or we just get into the story already, and you just dropping it in, and then the humor comes off great, because like the way you guys put the pages together was hilarious, man. Like when I first saw the grandma character, I was just like, right on, Granny's got a shotgun. Okay, let's roll with this.
Granny. Like Betty White, she fucking went against like the monster crocodile that ate all his shit and everything. Lake Placid. She fucking like, I think she got a shotgun at that motherfucker and stuff.
Yeah, that was Betty White.
Yeah, that was Betty White.
Oh yeah, she's all rooting for the thing.
She should have shot. She should have shot dead. Like the thing is, like even though Theodore Roosevelt died earlier than her, like he was so badass. Like even his friend said, "Yeah, only in sleep death could take him." because that dude like had severe asthma and he was like really sickly. So he said, "Fuck this, I don't want to be like this." And he started just fucking working himself out, and then he just became what he became. But
So
yeah,
how did you come up with the idea for all this, man? For the actual character and the story and all of its things.
I've always been kind of like attracted to like the Matador stuff. Just I don't like as a kid I had a Matador cat that my parents got me because my grandfather on my mom's side like has Spanish ancestry, so it's like that was the connection they want, you know. But I was this idea specifically. I was basically sitting around one day with my sketchbook, and I was like, I'm going to come up with like the next great character. You know what I mean? And the name Monster Matador just popped into my head. And there's a Peter Sellers movie I really like called The Bobo, and I think I had just watched it. So and it's about the greatest singing matador in all of Spain. So I probably had matadors on my mind because of that. And once the name popped into my head, I was like, you know, ding, right? That's like perfect. And it was one of those like, you know, I'm like, someone must have done this already because it's almost in a way it's so obvious, right? Like that's what matadors do. They fight. I mean, you know, they fight. I mean, bulls, but like as a comic, as just a visual thing, it's just so cool. You've got the you know the poetry of the movements, the cape, the swords, you know, the fighting and everything. And it just kind of went from there.
That's fucking awesome.
So,
yeah. So were you ever like a fan of, since you have so many kaijus in the book, were you ever like a fan of like Godzilla and all of those films, or was just you like, no, this is definitely a you know, a marketable idea? Like, let's bring.
Yeah. No, I mean, I love Godzilla. I love all that stuff. I'm not like hardcore into it. And I think, you mentioned that it's very much on purpose where the focus is more like the characters and things like that. And to me, where the monsters come from isn't important. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
we'll get to it and we touch upon it. You know, in our second book, After Apocalypse, we kind of expand the world a bit. And we kind of see like what's going on elsewhere, and we'll touch upon it as the story continues. But to me, like this book specifically is about the Matador fighting monsters. You know, for him as a hero, as the character, he doesn't care where they came from. All he cares about is that they're here, and he wants to kick their ass, right?
Right.
So that's kind of the thrust of the book. So for us, like, again, you know, like we'll touch upon it, and I do have a story in my head and whatever, but it's not like the driving force of what this book is about. Whereas with a lot of, like with Godzilla, at least in the last movies, it's more about like where they're from. You know, they're kind of, the focus is more on like, I don't know, they were buried in ice or something like that, or they're aliens. I don't in the Godzilla Kong.
Right.
So in a way, we're kind of telling like a micro story within like a bigger world, you know.
And I think that's what makes like certain books like this and The Walking Dead so good, is because there's so much folklore with, you know, big monsters, vampires, zombies, that like we no longer have to go, okay, this exists and here's why. Like everyone, I mean, you can leave it up to the fans and just be like, well, I think they came from here or whatever, and just focus on the characters. Like that to me is a lot more entertaining than, you know, like every, you know, what was it, Day of the Dead film now, where they rehashed the opening so many times. It's like I skipped like the first 40 minutes of the movie just to get to the other part.
I think Walking Dead is a good example. Like Why the Last Man, you know, those are stories that there's the bigger world out there that they touch upon, but ultimately what you're connecting with is the characters and their story. You know, it doesn't really matter where the zombies came from, right? And it doesn't matter within the context of Why the Last Man. It really doesn't matter what caused all the men to disappear.
Right. It doesn't.
Right?
Because it's here. It is
story. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And it kind of, I think also we're kind of exhausted by stories of like, the chosen one.
Yes.
So it's kind of like no one you know what I mean? Like not every story has to be about he's the chosen one. He's gonna, solve this and change the world or whatever. It's more like, no, I have my little. It's like anyone, and because this is a story about a father, trying to raise his daughter in this crazy world, as a parent, you're just trying to like kind of like make your little spot in the world safe, right? You know what I mean? Like you have no control over like the bigger picture of anything, and that's kind of like what this is like.
Can I share something that represents Steven in a way too?
Oh
yes,
my God.
Absolutely.
Do we have to do this now?
Because he kind of has this dead inside look, and when he's talking about, Steven has the same face every time I tell him, yeah, Steven, we have a CAPS meeting too. Steven, I sent you a picture. I just want your opinion. And you look at it, you're like, I think you hate the shit that you do. I'll take it off.
Oh, that's funny. That's too funny. Yeah.
I need thick skin with Christie because of all the pictures she sends me.
Oh yeah.
We don't need to get into it.
I told you, do sacrificial dick pics. If anybody sends you any, just fucking make jokes about it.
Every time.
There we go. There's the disclaimer. There's the Christie disclaimer. Yeah, one thing that I loved about your book, and it's interesting you brought it up because I was going to bring it up. It's about like the father just caring about his daughter, right? And in recent years, me and my family, we've been reading a lot of saga, and that's what the whole thing is like the daughter's not about being the savior. They're just trying to make sure she survives from people trying to kill her and her parents, know, and so that I really connected with that because like it's not about him just being this awesome super person. It's just, no, this is my world. This is what and I'm trying to be a good dad, and that to me makes it a lot more compelling story than I'm the chosen one to save the world. Like, how many John Connor stories are there?
Yeah, and I think just like given the world we live in right now with like COVID and all this stuff going on in Ukraine and everything, you don't have control over that. There's not going to be one person that's going to come out and save the world. You know what I mean? Like, but you do have control over the little things. And I think stories like that, I think now are going to resonate more with people than these kind of like unattainable fantasies of like, and I think you're probably going to end up seeing more stories like that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, because everyone has their own version of what life is, right? Like, growing up out here in California in the country like area, because most people don't know that California is like 80% ranch and farm.
Yeah.
Most people just think California is LA and surfing.
Yeah.
That's like New York. That's New York too. Like, everybody thinks it's fucking New York City, but it's like all like farmland and shit. And hillbillies.
So my worldview is going to be different than yours because of just the lifestyles that we live, and what makes personal stories like this so powerful is every person is set back as like, what would I do next? How would I want to raise my family? What would be the next thing? And the fact that you had fun and wrote it within comedic genius tempo, you know what I mean? And hit it in like a serious style was just like you had me crying on a few pages. I was laughing. So like, I'm sorry, the grandma with the shotgun with the poop stuff, like I was I was laughing so hard. I was like, oh dude, like of course a grandmother in that
the
thing
promoter
just,
the promoter in me just has to break in right here. Limited to 50 copies. this tier right here, limited to 50 copies. This book will travel the world and be signed 3 times before it gets to you. All right.
That's right.
That's cool as hell, man. It's like all 3 of these guys live in 3 different countries. The book's gonna go all over the place, and then it's gonna come to you.
Hey, Steven, I have a suggestion. I'll do this for you.
I gotta go.
No.
I say that like anybody random that pledges at a certain tier, I'll draw a fucking dick pic. And I don't give a fuck if it's bad. Just like some stupid fucking shit, and I'll just draw some stupid shit. Like $50 or more. Like I'll just draw some shit.
Do it. Let's do it. Mention. I'll mention Christie. You don't have to mention dicks. But you and I will know what's coming in your package.
Yeah, and it's like
or
literally,
what type of package you can expect.
And it'll be random.
It will likely be a large package, sturdy. Certainly not soft. We use sturdy materials.
Have hair on it.
We use sturdy materials for our packages. And it will come in a plastic sleeve for protection.
Plenty of them here.
Oh man, this is why
if you want to take pic, I don't know where they are now, but I had
oh man,
I had card. Oh, here we go. I'll throw in these.
We just went from innocent comic show to the morning stiffy on KCal here in California.
I'll throw in these remarked or sketch cards. This is a drawing that I did for Monster Matador trading card. Very thick.
Oh, that's awesome.
Very thick package, and I will draw a sketch for you, and you will get your dick from Christie, and you will get Monster Matador.
Maybe I'll put it on a shitty Post-it note and send a bunch of them. You can randomly put them in the fucking. No, but
that's one way to build a fan base.
Well, this is the thing. So I'm going to tell a funny story, and Steve's like, "Oh fuck." So
I'll be right back.
Okay. No, actually, I should do it because you have to like sit here. Okay. So this is soon after like my last Kickstarter last year, and I just would randomly talk to my guy friends, and I'd say like, my guy Kyle likes to say, "Hey, I got this in the mail. What do you think?" And I would send them because I don't get like the regular dick pics. I get like the fucking deformed ones, and this was a pretty bad one. So I sent them to Steven, and then Steven was just like, after a time, he said, I think you hate me by all the fucking shit you sent me, right? So
I had met Christie literally the day or 2 days before.
that sounds like Christie.
We did it was a group signing. And 2 days later, there's a message in my Facebook from Christie with a bunch of literally deformed and like just, I don't even want to describe because it's lunchtime and people are going to throw up if I even go further than that.
I do the lunch hour.
Context.
I do the lunch hour.
Well, depending on what time zone you're in, I mean.
Well, no, but still. But still, okay, so always sending me shit that temporarily blinds me. So
yeah,
okay,
it's funny. It's funny you guys brought all that up because I went with Christie to what was it? Cartoonapalooza here in Temecula, and none of the burger joints nearby were doing to go food. And I said, so I ended up stopping in a gay bar, and they're like, yeah, you can take food to go. Yeah, no problem. And they had a live like drag queen show going on, and they were doing stuff on that show. I was like, I definitely in the wrong thing, and I just grabbed my food and I walked back to the table to Christie. And I told her what happened. She goes, she's like, exactly. Like it was just like I have seen things that I will never want to. I need to unsee. It was just it was pretty funny.
So this is the thing. So Steven goes like, I think you hate me by all the shit you send me, right? So later on, Steven gets his revenge because I'm just kind of relentless in sending him awful things sometimes. You know, it's just like
Hashtag blame Christie.
Right, and then so what ended up happening was that so LA Comic Con rolls around, right? And I go back to I leave my table, I go back, and I see a drawn dick on my fucking thing. And I'm like, okay, who the fuck did this? And I'm not mad because the funny thing is I have a lot of guy friends that would do this shit and it would be funny. I just had to figure out who. Avalone sold you out.
I know. and probably in the most Avalone way, which was oh, it was Steve.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there was no oh, should I sell him out? Should I not? Is this, it's just oh yeah,
We've had selling wars. I swear to God, and I sell stuff for more. And he's like, well, I sold it for this. I moved them all fast. I said, you sold them for less. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, but I don't have to carry them home.
The other way. So this is what happened. So he posted something about LA Comic Con, something. I said, oh yeah, you posted a dick pic. You gave me a posted dick pic. Stop! My fucking wife's looking at this. So I took a picture of the actual post and note, put it up there to assure everybody you did not actually send me a real thing. You just drew it on a post-it note. Your reputation is safe.
But it didn't look like one of my dicks though, so I'm not taking any responsibility.
It was badly drawn. So much.
That's what I mean.
Oh, man.
I draw mean dick. Let me tell you.
Well, this episode's now going to be called the Dick episode. That's fantastic.
I don't know why you had Christie on here. What do you expect every time Christie comes on? It's all about dicks. God. Never ending.
This is fine face on Steven's looking
Pops, you got to ban her.
It's see, look, this is fine. This is funny because okay, so we go to San Diego Comic-Con, right? We have a group dinner group. We have a group chat, right? And Stickney, Pepos, Ryland, Peter Shaw, I'm trying to think other people other than Charlie and a couple of other Charlie Stickney's friends. And then one of the guys later on, Eric Tapper, goes on and he meets us. He's wearing a heavy metal shirt, so I think he's from heavy metal. Anyway, so we all sit down and then Carla's there too, Carla Nappy. So we're sitting there and Steven's sitting there and I said, I just want to let you know, if I put this GIF up, you'll know what this is. So I take the This Is Fine Dog and I send it into the group. And I said, so this is what, to me, Steven represents. And everybody looked at the group, said, look at all your phones. They all looked at it, and they all started laughing. Not at your expense. They just started laughing. And then he had more of that look
like I'm doing now.
Yeah, that's your look now. This is fine. But it's funny because I told Steven that I went to the Rammstein concert and he said, oh yeah, my son, he hates Rammstein. When he's being bad, I'll play it for him and he'll get mad.
Du hast. And he goes, stop it, turn it off.
Oh man, Rammstein's awesome. Well, hey Pops, can you go ahead and play the clip for the Monster Matador so that people can see? Yeah, that one right there.
Take it away.
You got 3,055, dude. It upped.
Yeah, get in there.
Welcome to the Monster Matador Volume 1 Kickstarter. If you've already backed Monster Matador, you know the drill. If you're new to the book, thanks for checking us out. Monster Matador is a post-apocalyptic kaiju throwdown about a matador who fights monsters to make a better world for his daughter. I'm Stephen Prince, the creator and writer of Monster Matador. The book is drawn by Ringo Award-nominated Fabio Alves and colored by Alex Zieff. Volume 1 is a 180-plus page trade paperback that collects the hit miniseries Tangle the Matadors, our explosive graphic novella Afropocalypse, plus a bonus story exclusive to this collection, and it also includes a study guide from Dr. Teresa Rojas. Now, I promise there aren't going to be any tests, but you might just learn something. And how about we check out the rewards? You'll be able to choose from 3 versions of the book: digital, softcover, or hardcover. There will also be a limited edition hardcover with a bookplate signed by me, Fabio Alves, and Alex Ziev, and a Remark hardcover with a Fabio Alves sketch. You'll also be able to catch up on single issues and variants you may have missed. And keep an eye out for stretch goals and a few surprises. Now the book is pretty much done. The study guide is in progress and the book plates are making their way around the world to get signed. Other than that, we're completely finished. So we hope to get the book to you as soon as possible. Thanks again for taking the time to watch this and for checking out Monster Matador.
That's awesome, man. So what gave you the idea for the guide, by the way? How did that come about?
For which one? For which one?
The guide? The guide? Like from the doctor? What gave you that idea?
The study guide. Yeah. The study guide. Sorry, I thought you were talking about a character. I thought you said guy. So Teresa actually suggested it. I ran into her at the bar at Comic-Con, and she had did something similar for a book called Quince, and what it is, it's not like a test thing. What it is that she kind of gives some like kind of background information, historical context of matadors within the culture, the Hispanic culture. And then what she does is she kind of like analyzes the art and the story, and just kind of like digs deep into like the process and the techniques and things like that. So it's actually kind of an interesting thing. She's working on it right now. It's going to be done, I think, in a couple of weeks. I'm actually really curious to see what it is. But what's nice about it is that it's something that kind of helps the book get into libraries and schools. Like she's a teacher at Modesto college, so like because a study guide is in it, it makes it easier for teachers and things like that to order the books for their class or the library. So it's kind of like a sneaky way to get into schools. But it's cool. But at the same time, it's kind of a cool, like you don't really see it. So I thought it would be kind of fun and kind of a unique thing to put in the book. There's also like a new story in the book in the collection too that's exclusive to the collection, where he's reunited with his daughter, and we set up the monster and the book that's coming, and that kind of that focuses more, because now he's going to be with his daughter. It focuses more on their relationship and the struggles he has in kind of raising her, because she wants to be a matador like him, but he doesn't want that for her. But as she's getting older, she's going to be rebelling. Because the world is not like a great place, he kind of has to make a choice of, is he going to train her? Is he going to, and how he's going to deal with that. With these first two books, I just kind of wanted to do just like some straight up matador adventures to kind of introduce everyone to him. And then like the next phase is going to be kind of like, I guess like the deeper story of him and kind of having to raise his daughter in this crazy world.
Dude, that's epic, man. And I'm actually shocked about the study guide thing. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, that's just crazy. It's easier to get into schools if you add a study. So now I'm curious, if this does well, if you're, would you ever try to stick this into like a high school library or no?
Dude, I'll
some
put
of the jokes are funny, man.
I'll put it wherever they'll take it,
So I think this would be rad to be put in a fucking like kids like in a library. I really think it's gonna be a good thing.
Yeah, it's
kids need more demented shit like Italian Spider-Man.
Oh, Italian Spider-Man. What about? Have you ever seen the Turkish Spider-Man thing?
No, I saw the Turkish Star Wars, and even though
that one's cool too.
Yeah, that was funny because like one of the guys, it said KUNT, and everybody started laughing.
Yeah. Cute.
Is that how you say it?
Yeah. It's not
So-
the other way, Christy. Sorry.
What?
Squirrel.
All right.
Back to the Kickstarter.
Yeah,
Yeah. So explain some of the rewards that you got going on here. We got $20 for digital collection, $30 soft color, collection. Can you tell us a little bit more in person about these different tiers?
So the basic soft cover, the interiors of everything is the same. It's 180 plus pages. If we hit stretch goals, we'll add more pages to it. It's got Tango the Matador's in it. Afropocalypse is in it. There's a bonus story that is exclusive to the collection that's in it, and there's a study guide, and there's a gallery section with pinups and things like that. The Virgin cover is just people like variants, so that one's going to be basically we're just going to print whatever or ordered. I think there'll probably be like 20 or 25 of them total, and that comes with a signed bookplate by me. There's a hardcover, and that'll come with a bookplate signed by me. Then there's the limited edition hardcover. So there's 50 that have a bookplate that's signed by me, Fabio Alves, and Alex Yeff, and that's the one that Pops talked about that was going around the world. And the reason we limited it to 50 is because we've had some issues mailing back and forth to Brazil. So just in case anything happened, I didn't want him to sign like 100 or whatever of them and then have to keep sending back and forth. So we kind of did a test. If there's enough demand, we'll figure out a way to get more. The sketch hardcover comes with a bookplate that's signed by me. It's signed by Fabio, and he does a sketch in it. He's got I think if you scroll up or down, you can see it's kind of a bust shot of the Matador on a 5x7 bookplate. And then there's there you go. So it's something like that. He does them. And we're gonna have, if you I'll get to it after. So, and then there's a retailer tier. If you're a retailer, we'll send you 6 paperbacks and a variant cover. We'll also, if you want a signed version or a hardcover, we'll work it out. Just we'll send you posters, stickers, all that stuff for your store. We'll hook you up. And then there's the Monster Matador tier, which is basically everything. There's a glow-in-the-dark print in there, all the variants, all the signed versions, basically like everything Monster Matador that we've done. And then the original art is a pinup that Tony Donnelly did. It's 11x17. And if you scroll up, you can see it. Fabio draws the book digitally, so there's no original art to it. If you go down.
Well, it's not on pen and paper. That's the thing.
It's not on pen and paper. Yeah, he draws. So this is actual pen and paper. There's, to my count, there's 5 pieces of pen and ink art that exist for all of Monster Matador. And this, and this is one that's available. I think there's a cover too. Well, there's a cover. There's a variant cover that I have, and then there's this cover, the Afropocalypse cover that I have. But this one's really cool. So that's that we're making available, and you get a bunch of stuff with that tier. And then we'll be giving away comics as we hit certain numbers. But once we hit 100, we're going to be doing a raffle for every backer for an original sketch card that's drawn by Tony of the Monster Matador. We'll be doing another raffle in there for a signed poster, which is signed. So we had comic creators actually guest stars some of the kaiju killers in this. We had
that's awesome.
Yeah, so the poster is signed by me, Tony, Ryland Grant, David Schrader, and Christian Horn. And then we're going to do another raffle for Fabio. Kind of got ahead of himself on one of the book plates. Instead of drawing the Monster Matador, he drew a luchador because we're introducing luchador monster fighters in the next book, which he's already drawn. And I thought it might be kind of weird to to send that one out when it hasn't even, no one's really seen them or hasn't been kind of shown yet. So we'll be doing a raffle for that one too. So
Dude, that's awesome.
So get in on it, and we'll do fun stuff like that. I always do sketches for everyone too. After the campaign, I'll do a little sketch with the package and things like that. So we always throw extras. And obviously, if you're part of the Madness Network, if you've mentioned Pops, you'll get one of those cards with the sketch on it. If you mention Christie, you'll get a dick.
By the way,
I guess if you want, don't feel like you have to mention Christie. You can just mention Pops.
want me to do faces.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right.
I don't want that to turn you off or be like, yeah, I want to get this book, but I really don't want to mention Christie, because I don't want to pick.
So, I could just do a demon bitch. That's more disgusting.
She's just trying to get the ladies to buy the book. You see what I'm saying? She's just trying to get more ladies to buy the book.
Yeah, right. That's right.
And people at that bar you went to,
we have a lot of female fans. Part of my joke is that, like, if you put boobs in a book or on a cover, it will sell 10,000 copies on Kickstarter. So I've actually been kind of looking for ways to have the Matador have his shirt off in the book. And you've read Tango the Matadors, but the cliffhanger in issue 2, right? That whole scene came about because I needed to figure out a way. Okay, how do I have it make sense within the story for the Matador to have his shirt off at some point in the book? And that's why so I mean, it's funny how that stuff comes together, but it actually worked out perfectly. Funny. But yeah, so. And,
I mean, hey, if it sells the book, dude, I'm always down. Is one of the books that I edited.
It's for the ladies.
I remember I did his ass. I drew fan art and you put it in one of the books, and it was his ass.
It was more than his ass. It was more than his ass. I don't want people thinking like they're gonna open up the book. They just get
Actually, I gotta take. I have another call to do, but I just wanted to say I love fucking with Steven, and I gotta find Steven's address because I have to send him something. He's just like, fuck you. But I'll talk with you guys later. I'll be on lunch hour at 12:30, so we could prolong this hilarity. Okay, I gotta go. I love you all. By the way, I shared the video on my Facebook, so you can see what I wrote.
Which video?
This video.
Oh, wonderful.
Look, all right, I'm off. I gotta go on another stream. All right, see you in a bit.
Oh man,
whose idea was that?
Well, no, she usually pops on my show to help me out because I'm still new to all this stuff.
No, it's fun. It's funny. I'm sorry, you were talking about your book that you were doing.
Oh no, I did. I edited, and you're right. Like we had the girl topless on the one cover. The Europeans loved it, and they were like, "Yes," But the Americans were like, "You have it covered up on a different." Thing. So it's you have to know your market.
That's funny. That's interesting. Did you have trouble finding a printer for that?
No. The people taking the money was not the issue. It's just who the audience was interesting.
That's interesting. Yeah, I have a friend that did a topless cover, and he was originally going to print overseas, but they wouldn't do it. He had to.
Well,
he had to find someone here. So.
Well, everyone, thanks for tuning in on Comic Pulp. Please back Stephen Prince's project, Monster Matador, and thank you for showing up, man. Mahalo.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. Great to meet you.
Great to meet you too.
Hey, everybody.
All right. Pops, can you close this out, please?
Comic Books for Kids provides comic books to kids in hospitals and cancer centers across the U.S. It's a place where we can all work together to make sure every child has a comic book. 100% of all proceeds go towards the kids. It's about making a difference, and while they're in the hospital, allowing them to fly like a superhero, battle dragons, or rescue teddy bears. We are in every state in the country and now support over 160 hospitals. Every month, we add more.